buffer margins. That's what drivers at the front of this championship have at the moment. It started all the way in January, and here we are at the moment in July, and it's those buffer margins that become so very, very vital. For the GTEs, it is a buffer margin of 79 points at the moment, and that is more than double the points margin at this stage for one Mr. PJ Claeysens. When you look at the LMP2s, that buffer margin is 36, and that margin may be a little bit smaller, but still a margin which has finally managed to manifest over the course of racing action here in this season. We find ourselves in sunny Spain because this is Barcelona. We are in the Catalonia region, and we are ready for qualifying and racing action here today with Forever Sim Racing. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry. I'll be joined alongside by Caitlin Penny very, very shortly with Marco Barbanera on the cameras provided by Dougie Beard, and the music that you have heard so far in today's broadcast is presented by Violet, and you can catch all of her albums on Bandcamp and on Spotify. Her work is absolutely sensational. First qualifying times are coming in though for your GTE category vehicles right now. At the moment, what they've got is 8 minutes to go out there and set a lap time. If they are unable to set that lap time, well, they're going to have to be starting from the very, very back of the field. There will then be a 4-minute break before we get ourselves over to the next section of racing action. PJ Claeysens currently the fastest in this session by a considerable margin here, Caitlin. That gap, 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, and you were talking about championship leaders having big buffers in their respective championships. Of course, Neil Andrews is the leader of the LMP2 HPV class at the minute, but as you just mentioned, PJ Claeysens absolutely dominant. He's won all 6 out of 6 races that there have been so far in his respective class, the GTE category, and no one's really got that close to touching him yet. So we'll see if that can change today at Barcelona. So far it's looking difficult, let's put it that way.
Very, very difficult at the moment. Ewan Marshall, the former teammate at Meraki, they're in second position right now, trying to make some really solid progress in the Porsche. You've got likes of Ethan Bass behind on circuit, yet to set a lap time at the moment, but this GTE field really low on numbers here today, surprisingly low on numbers. It's down to 8 drivers here today who will be looking to battle it out on a track which is very notorious for being all about breaking away in the early goings of things, and this is a track where you need to be on it. Marshall gains a 10th, Steve Hobbs currently in 3rd here on a 42 flat, so that's something worth keeping in mind. Mathieu van Delden is currently in 4th position, but jumped by 2nd in the championship, Billy Fletcher there into 4th position, so that will be really exciting to make some progress. They're 2nd place on the 42.4, but to be 1.4 seconds off of your nearest challenger, that's going to be a little bit of a kick in the teeth for the Ford.
Absolutely, you do not want to be that far off the pace, especially at this circuit, because this circuit, it's got a bit of everything in terms of the layout of it. Medium speed corners, slow speed corners, high speed corners, straights, shorter straights, etc, etc. And if you're slow around this circuit, that means you're probably going to be relatively slow at all of the remaining races of the season as well. That's why it's used as a test circuit for series like Formula 1 and various GT championships as well. But anyway, yeah, the Ford appears to be a bit off the pace so far
at this moment, but of course the race could provide something completely different. This is Damien Shave in the 62 though, going to make a charge over the line, a 45.3 though only. That's not going to be ideal. That is bottom times at the moment for those who have set lap times, half a second off of Jonas Gillis at this point in time. Ethan Bass yet to set something representative, but drivers of course can finish their lap once they have started it, but 8 minutes going to be coming up in about 1 minute's time. So that's what Ethan Bass will be looking at over the line here, and looking to go 42.7 put 6th place into perspective, but a lot of drivers will not be able to get out and get another lap in the books. Billy Fletcher will be one of those drivers who won't be able to get out and get another lap in, like Mathieu van Delden has one more in the tank.
Couple of new names I've seen so far. I'm not sure if we've seen Damien Shave so far this series. If we have, then I apologize for that. Also, Steve Hobbs. That's not the Steve Hobbs, is it? I may be thinking of someone else, but anyway. Oh, actually, no. He has done a few races so far this season. Has Steve Hobbs? He's done a few other rounds. He did Interlagos and Montreal. So my apologies to him. But anyway, good to see a variety of drivers and cars out there again, as usual. Right now, you've got the GTE field on track, of course. There's 2 segments of qualifying. You have the GTEs who are about to get their checkered flag. And then, of course, you have the LMP2 class, which is where we'll be seeing the fastest lap times coming in.
Checkered flag is out at the moment. Damien Shave then will cross the line and goes on to a 44.7 jumps. Jonas Gillis then moves up into 7th place. Claeysens, though, has found even more. 140.6. He's 1.1 clear of the rest of the field at the moment. Bass is on a lap. Fletcher is not on a lap. Mathieu van Delden very much is, along with Steve Hobbs. So Bass dives down into the lane. I expect Billy Fletcher to dive down into the lane as well, because he was on an outlap going on around the circuit. So that will be lap times over for the moment. Mathieu van Delden then will try and make a charge over towards the line. We'll see what Mathieu is capable of doing, and over the line Mathieu van Delden goes. It's a 43.3, so no signs of improvement. Hobbs will come down in onto the lane, and that is everyone done then when it comes to GTE qualifying. PJ Claeysens then is on pole position with Ewan Marshall in 2nd. Steve Hobbs in 3rd with Billy Fletcher in 4th. And then it's Mathieu van Delden and Ethan Bass 5th and 6th. Damien Shave 7th and Jonas Gillis in 8th. Now, this is going to be very interesting, Caitlin. We've got a little bit of a gap wait before we get to the LMP2 category cars, the Honda HPD ARXs. And look at how everyone is lining up and waiting here. Most importantly, someone with a bit to prove. Tony Baird crashed out of the lead at Le Mans and needs to find something of a good result. He's had none in 6 races.
That's a very spread out GTE field, though. We're not used to seeing it that spread out. So PJ Claeysens there, amazing lap, 1.1 seconds faster than anyone else there. No idea how he's done that, but of course we know that PJ Claeysens is an extremely good GTE driver. But even further down the field as well, only 2 seconds separating the top 5, or 2 seconds separating only the top 5, sorry. And then you've got the other 2, Shave and Gillis, 7th and 8th. They're 4 seconds back, so a really spread out GTE field today. That's interesting.
Well, at the moment, there was a little bit of confusion down there on the pit entry because Tony Baird has jumped the green commitment cone and has gone over, and there's a lot of banter going on in the in-game radio communications chat about, what's the suitable penalty. Some people have suggested 100 points, £500,000 of a fine has been suggested at some points as well, Caitlin. But the point I'd say is that Tony Baird's had such a shocking season that he'd be put into minus points if he had 100 points of penalty.
Well, I'm not sure he's going to get a penalty for that. Yeah, he's gone over the cones, but he hasn't actually gone out onto the track. So I'm not sure if that is worthy of a penalty or not. It's technically illegal, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just let him off with a warning for that. But yeah, you're right. Baird's had a real up and down season. Of course, crashed out of the lead. Was it the last lap he did that last time out? It was definitely penultimate lap. Yeah, it was definitely close to the end of the race, and he was of course kicking himself for that one, I expect. But yeah, he's got a point to prove today, and that point is that he can finish a race cleanly and quickly.
And that's what he will want to do. 20 seconds before those GTEs can officially go out on track. A little bit of an advantage for Tony Baird, but he's been fully stopped and pulled over. And there are 12 in the LMP2 division today looking to try and score. Top 10 in each championship get points. And of course, you get 1 point for pole position and 1 point for the fastest lap if you are inside the top 10. So that's going to be worth keeping in mind. 27 points maximum on offer per race week as they go on through. They now enter onto the circuit into the very, very fast turns 1, 2, 3 section. Baird, then it's JPW Ringwood and Simon Underhill trying to find a little bit of a gap. He's out of the championship picture as Simon Underhill, but he's going to be looking to try and get some times. But of course, the big eyes are on car number 10 and Neil Andrews, who of course has won the last 2 races at tracks where he did not feel that he was fancy.
So here we go then, tyre smoke flying up from behind the HPDs as they head off around the circuit to Catalonia. This is quite a scary circuit in a prototype, I can tell you that, because I have driven one here, and it's actually not too pleasant, because you've got corners where you really don't want the car to be unsettled. You've got high curbs in places too, like at the chicane, and as well as that, it's a relatively high tyre wear circuit as well, which of course will be another little headache that these teams will have to, or that these drivers will have to contend with. So to be honest, I think I'd much rather a GTE for this race, but still, it's going to keep the HPD class interesting, because it means that strategy is going to be more on the drivers' minds than before. Of course, I'm not expecting that we'll have anything more than a one-stop, but they'll need to be thinking about their tyre wear and about how much they want to push at different stages in the event. But here's qualifying, where they're going to be pushing the whole way around.
Let's go on board with Tony Baird then for a lap. Car number 22, Nomad Sim Racing. Here on the brakes, he will look going at 280 kilometers an hour down to just 125 through turn number 1, trying to modulate the throttle through turn number 2, and now the long tyre killer, that is turn number 3. You always wait from a turn 2 to put the power down, and finally able to at about 190 kilometers an hour. Then there's turn number 4, an ever slowing corner here on the right, and this is what kills the tyres, the fact that you have corners which feel like hairpins, which are quick, and you really have to turn the wheel so much. Down the hill though at turn 5, always tough. You can easily run wide on the exit, and they can't afford any 0x off-track instant points, or their lap will be invalidated. Now up the hill through 7, small kinks right of 8, big long right of turn 9 up the hill. Always a tough place to get the car turned, and Tony Baird doing well. Track temp today is down at 23 degrees, so it's going to be colder, and it's going to be easier for drivers to get that turn in. Misses the apex though at Claeysens, turn number 10, and that's not ideal for the final sector, which is all about balance. And again, that balance going awry for Tony Baird. He slides out wide through turn 12 and now to 13. This is a little bit changed. You've got that rack chicane that comes up. To think that this chicane is nearly 13 years old right now, it is so surprising. It still feels new to me. Through the final corner of New Holland and over the charge to the line. That's a lap around this place. Tony Baird will set the pace on a 36.6.
And that's how you do it. Tony Baird currently at the top of the time by quite a margin, actually, because all of the other drivers are yet to set a representative lap time. Adam Dodd now goes to the top, 136.041. So that's going to be the benchmark that the other drivers are going to have to try to match. Still yet to set a lap though. Drivers include championship leader Neil Andrews, as well as other regular contenders, Jelle Pieter Hoogland and JPW Ringwood. But anyway, I'm sure we're about to see them set their laps and see what they can do. Still about 1.2 seconds to be found. Looking at the practice times, the qualifying laps aren't anywhere near that yet. So I do think that still we've got lap times to be found.
On that first run through, only 3 drivers were able to set a time. All the others went around and couldn't put a representative time on the board. So they're waiting for the tyres to get up to temperature. And I believe one of the drivers said that the LMP2, after the update that happened at the start of the calendar year for iRacing's round goes, Phil McDougall, and now JPW Ringwood as well, going around with a spin. That was not ideal at all, as they all went on forward and tried to push. So they're all struggling here, and cold tyres here, especially mixed up with a cold track, that creates copious amounts of oversteer, and that's going to be the one issue. We talked about understeer around this place being a big killer. What about oversteer? That kills the lap entirely.
Yeah, you do not want to be getting any oversteer, any kind of twitch in a car like this one because it just goes around. I mean, LMP2s, you have all of the grip in the world until you have none at all, and then there's really no saving it. But anyway, Josh Johnson now goes up to third. He's only the fifth driver in the category to set a representative lap. But yeah, the practice time's still a lot faster than the qualifying times. So still laps yet to be found and yet to be set. Connor Robb's about to set a he's just about to start a lap. My apologies. The fastest driver in free practice was JPW Ringwood actually, although he has actually I think he's just had this lap invalid as well potentially. So JPW Ringwood having a little bit of a tough time, but we know he's got the potential for pole here.
Dodd, Andrews, Johnson, or Josh Johnson, Baird and Underhill, your top five at the moment. Andrews is a tenth behind Adam Dodd, who has yet to have a pole position in this series. Teammate to Danny Henney in the Venomworks red, trying to make sure that the push all works out in favour. Got drivers coming to the line like Danny Henney and Phil McDougall. Henney has been up there and has looked to try and score some really big results. Has had podiums so far this season. 35.8 puts him to pole position. It's the Venomworks red cars 1 and 2 because they're there 0.2 of a second almost there. So they go on through. Ringwood goes to third on a 36 flat. That's brilliant. A minute and a half to go. Some drivers on their last lap. Others, they are going on to get through. Baird cannot go any quicker than second as he crossed the line 36 flat. And Adam Dodd is going to pull it over and say, cannot go any quicker. Here comes Underhill, 36.3, stays sixth. And then you got Josh Johnson as well over the line, remains in fifth.
And all drivers who are heading back to the pits now will not get another chance to set a faster lap. So Josh Johnson's not going to do it. What about Neil Andrews? Well, he's just crossed the line again, and I think that's to start another flying lap, and that might be his last chance as well. So Andrews struggling here. Someone's just set their first lap. That was Connor Rubb, and he's a long way off the pace so far. No disrespect to Connor. Yellow Pieter Hugland appears to be, I think he may be setting up for a lap because that didn't look particularly quick through the final corner, and indeed goes on to a lap. Dan Merchant and Phil McDougall also not yet starting a lap. Merchant won't get a chance, and McDougall now won't get a chance either because he's pulled off to the side of the road. Yeah. So I'll have to start just in front of the GTEs. But I think this is between Ringwood and Henney.
Absolutely it is. You've got Connor Robb, Neil Andrews, Simon Underhill, JPW Ringwood, all there on track. Danny Henney will get one more lap going on forward here with 10 seconds to go. He'll cross the line. It's a quick run to the line, but he invalidated that last lap, so he won't get anything. Ringwood searching for the lap time that he needs, and he'll get over the line with 2 seconds to go and goes 0.4 quicker than anybody else. That was the response he wanted here in terms of his lap times. A 35.4 was marvellous here. Underhill brings it into the lane. What about Neil Andrews, though, here trying to make this push through the final couple of corners here? That chicane is a nightmare for LMP2s with the big anti-cut curves that go on through. He's down in 6th place at the moment. Is the CXR black car in 10th place. Cross the line, 35.5. Front row, right on cue for one Mr. Neil Andrews. Exactly what was wanted. Now Connor Robb looking to improve on a 37 flat. Will not improve on time. Jelle Pieter Hoogland has not set a lap time at all. He'll be searching for that one time. Will be tiptoeing around the circuit, hoping that the lap stays valid, trying to make the push to the line. Has Jelle found something? Has been up as high as second in this series before, a 37.6. That's P9, and that was very much all about a safe lap. Now Danny Henney has got to find something. 4/10 he needs to get to pole position. 3/10 he needs to move over Neil Andrews. Down through turn 13. Now the 14-15 chicane, the rack chicane, and now trying to move to New Holland. Has he got the power down? This will be a sore sticking point of contention in the race, that final sector. Danny Henney crosses the line and does a 35.3. He goes to pole, but watch out for Ringwood. Last car on track, over the line, 35 flat. What a pole for JPW Ringwood. He found the banker right when he needed it, Caitlin.
That was quite a finish to the session. I thought Ringwood got it, but then when Henny crossed the line, I was just ready to celebrate his pole position and talk about how unexpected and brilliant it was. But Ringwood has gone and snatched it out of his hands, 1:35.038, and that is over 0.3 of a second faster than Henny. So it actually wasn't that close in the end after all. But it went right down to the wire there. And if Ringwood had messed up that last lap at all, then Henny would have taken pole position.
Absolutely. So this is how the grid will stack. JPW Ringwood will be on pole position. Danny Henny second, with Neil Andrews third and Tony Baird in fourth. Adam Dodd and Josh Johnson are on row 3 with Simon Underhill and Connor Robb looking out row number 4. 9th position for Jelle Pieter Hoogland with Phil McDougall and Dan Merchant down at the back of the field because they haven't set lap times. PJ Claeysens, though, is on top for your GTE field with Ewan Marshall, Steve Hobbs and Billy Fletcher, the top 4. Matish Van Delden follows Ethan Bass with Damien Shave and Jonas Gillis making up that field. 19 drivers here today and a short run for the start. Now, this is going to be crucial. Drivers like Merchant and McDougall, they are going to be right at the back and will have to try and navigate themselves a way through. But I think that we're going to have something very similar to Le Mans, where the pair will start to push on forward. So we'll keep an eye on that as they go on through. But in reality here, Caitlin, this is going to be a tough hour.
It really is. Of course, 1 hour of racing, so 1 pit stop expected. And because this is a much shorter track than Le Mans as well, we're going to get more traffic coming into play. And that's going to be another thing that the LMP2 drivers in particular are going to have to worry about. But the GTE drivers are going to have to look in their mirrors and make sure that they're not misjudging anything or anyone trying to make a move from behind. But yeah, JPW Ringwood starting first. Neil Andrews is his main championship rival and the LMP2 championship leader. He will be directly behind him with Henny splitting them. And of course, in terms of your championship contenders in GTE, PJ Claeysens is on pole by a long way, and really it's going to take quite something to beat him today, if anyone will. But the fight for second in the championship, Billy Fletcher will be starting from 4th position, and third in the GTE championship currently it's Ewan Marshall who will be starting from 2nd place, and Marshall will be hoping to get up to the lead at the start because that might be his best opportunity to get a good result here.
Absolutely. It's worth noting here that PJ Claeysens is unbeaten in 6 starts in this series so far. That's going to be completely ideal as everyone can get themselves going. Ringwood a little bit slow to get going off of the start, so he'll need to rush back up into position. Everybody funnels around and lets everybody go on through, so that's all ideal as they all form into formation and get themselves ready for racing action that is going to be going on. So they're all going to get themselves ready. You've got the group that is right now heading through the final chicane. Ringwood first, Henny in second, Andrews in third. This is going to be bumper stuff as the pace car, the Porsche iRacing Porsche first safety car, dives down in. Barney's on the flag, and let's get ourselves going immediately here as we get to racing action here at Barcelona. Side by side for second as they go down the front stretch and get themselves all moving forward here. Andrews on the inside, Henny on the outside as they go on the brakes in, and it is Andrews with more confidence on that inside that gets it going. A run out of road is Henny, and he falls back into third. Maybe Tony Baird has something to say in fourth. He does not. They're all clean. Time for GTEs.
Now, I'm pretty sure that Billy Fletcher jumped the start. He was ahead of Steve Hobbs as they crossed the start-finish line by quite a long way. But anyway, PJ Claeysens is P1, Ewan Marshall is P2, Hobbs third for the time being, but we'll have to keep an eye on that because he should have been starting behind Steve Hobbs. Sorry. Anyway, the rest of them stream through, and I think it's relatively clean.
It certainly is, and of course, that's going to be something to keep in mind as all of these drivers now make pushes through the field. Ringwood, Andrews, Henny, Baird, and then it's Dodd in 5th position with Underhill just behind in 6th at the front. Some side-by-side in your GTEs right now as Bass and Van Delden there getting close for a moment, but they all separate out nicely. Claeysens pulling out that gap at the front of the field, but it's the LMPs where it's at, because look at Andrews. He is all over the back right now of JPW Ringwood, and he loves high downforce.
He does indeed. Down towards turn 10, and we've got a move going on. Ethan Bass going defensive. And Matisse van Delden, don't know what just happened there, but he seemed to back off down the straight. That was a weird one. But anyway, loses a place. That's probably due to, would you say, corner cutting.
Race lead.
But anyway, now for the race lead, we have Ringwood going defensive from Andrews. Andrews in the slipstream. You've got a long pit straight here. Andrews now to the outside, and I don't think he's close enough to keep it on the inside for turn 2. JPW Ringwood keeps the lead, and David Henney's going to get a good run up through turn 3 here, Jake.
Here comes Danny Henney looking. Danny inside, bit of contact as they go on through. So there was the shot. Was really surprised with how slow there Neil Andrews was Danny Henney. Downey inside at turn number 4, pushes him out of road. Here comes Tony Baird looking almost 3 wide through that section. That was a little bit of naughty as they go on the brakes. Andrews holds it, locks up the fronts though. Henney into the back for a third time. Baird goes down the inside and steals one. And here comes Underhill on Dodd.
And Fletcher's just past Marshall for P2 in GTE as well, Jake.
Absolutely, some brilliant action up and down. Underhill has got the move done on Dodd, so he's got that one done at turn 9. But yes, for P2, Billy has got himself up to second through on Ewan Marshall. He's okay with that pass before the start-finish line because the green flag had already dropped. He was allowed to go and make that move, so that is key. But look at this at the moment. Ringwood has got Christmas that's happened to him right now.
And Andrews is spinning.
Going down through turn 12. Just like that, he is demoted to the back of the train. And I wonder if there was any damage from the small taps that Danny Henney gave him.
Well, he's now behind Pieter Hoogland, so he's down in 8th position, and he's gonna have a lot of ground to make up for the championship leader. Hoogland running wide and over the curb, so that's going to give Andrews the better run down the pit straight. Here we go again, the slipstream, and he's going to have the inside line. Hoogland does not cover it off. Sorry. And I think this is going to be a relatively straightforward pass for Neil Andrews, providing he gets his braking right, which, yes, he does. So Andrews back up into 7th position now, but he'll feel that he should have been 2nd.
Well, he sleepwalked in through the opening couple of laps and will need to now really put on a masterclass to move on forward here in this race. PJ Claeysens' lead at the moment at the front of the GTE field currently stands at 3.5 seconds at the moment and is a cut above. He was a full 1.4 seconds quicker than Billy Fletcher that last time by around the circuit. So that's something to keep in mind. No real battles as of yet in that category, but look at this pack that is swarming in your LMP2s right now. Danny Henney trying to stay with Tony Baird, who is in 2nd position right now, and all this train will be thinking about is how much are we going to close up to car number 8 of JPW Ringwood.
Ringwood has a 2.6 second lead, or at least he did. Oh, what's happened to Andrews?
He's down the inside here of Josh Johnson, who's not going to make life easy here, forcing him to take that big wide line here going through turn number 12, and the power on the exit from Andrews is enough to cover the place. So he's got it done, but look at how much it's cost him in time. He runs wide though through turn 13. He's under immense amounts of pressure here, and now they're all checking up over each other. It's almost like watching dominoes fall over.
So on the exit now, Andrews looks if he's got that place done, and Johnson's going to be under attack from Hoogland if he's not careful. Another lap completed, and indeed up into 6th position. Dodd's now on Underhill. Yeah, he's on the inside line. Yes. Oh no, the outside line, sorry. And they just about get away with it. Looked like they were going to touch.
Dodd was there on the inside. He tried to get through Simon Underhill, but Underhill on the outside doing just what was needed in that scrap, and that was ideal for the cause at the moment. One driver is currently classified as a retirement at this point in time. That is Dan Merchant, who has run into troubles and has retired the car. He did so all on his own out on circuit. He was running on his own, went through the final corner, lost the rear end and speared it into the wall. There is one fast repair in this series, but Merchant clearly struggling here today comparatively to where he was a month ago at Le Mans, and as such, he retires the car and retires from the race.
Yeah, he was running 2nd to last in the P2 class anyway, so not a good day for him, and he's decided to call it a day. It may just be that he's getting a tow and that he might use his fast repair still, but it looks to me as if he... Oh yeah, he's disconnected, so he will be out of the race. Someone just kicked up a load of smoke there at turn 12. I thought someone was going spinning. Oh.
It's Johnson. Look at this. 3-1 on the exit. He ran wide. McDougall takes both of those cars, and Hoogland's almost run into Johnson. Johnson's done a brilliant job to get out of the way. No need for a clean-up there of Johnson. He's done a brilliant job of saving it.
He did indeed. That got a little bit hairy there. 3 cars into a corner that tight. Doesn't tend to work, and Henny now on second. That's Tony Baird he's going past, and he's going to make it stick, it looks like, and he does keep it within the lines. That's important. So Henny now up into P2 after that brilliant qualifying performance.
Yes, brilliant work from Danny Henny, back to where he needs to be in second position at this point in time. So he's through on Tony Baird, but look who's behind Dodd and Underhill right now. It's Neil Andrews, and he is trying to work his way back through. Every point matters at this stage. It's 25 points for a race win after all, and it's imagining your Formula 1 point scoring: 18 for second, 15 for third, it's 12 for fourth, it's 10 for fifth, and it's 8 points only for that 6th place finish if you find yourself there. Andrews at the moment would lose his 1 race buffer that he's built up if results stay like this. But remember, we're only about 8 minutes into this 60-minute race, so a lot can happen, and already has at the moment. The calmest place to be right now here, Caitlin's GTE.
It is. GTE really spread out at the minute. PJ Claeysens already with a 5-second lead, as we're so used to seeing. And there's a 2-second gap now between second and third as well, with Steve Hobbs dropping back and forth. So GTE looking relatively calm. No one really in a fight there at the minute. But that does mean that it's going to be... Well, that'll be a relief. Oh.
McDougall's gone around at turn number 12, so all on his own, catching the curb on the inside, the back stepping out, and the car going for a very low speed spin, and very lucky he didn't beach himself on the anti-cut on the inside.
Yeah, the car looked in danger of getting beached there, but he got it running again. But anyway, I was going to say it's going to be quite a relief for the LMP2s that the GTEs are spread out, because it means that they'll be able to tackle them one at a time, and they won't be battling side by side across the road or whatever. But anyway, Bird still pretty close to Henny. Henny is getting away from him, but Bird not letting it happen, lying down. Simon Underhill within a second of Bird as well, and he's bringing Dodd and Andrews with him as they fight over that 5th position. So still LMP2 from 2nd down to 5th, very, very uncertain, although GTE much more spread out.
2nd to 6th, absolutely fantastic. Neil Andrews was the fastest driver last time by on a 35.7. He was a 10th quicker than his main championship rival JPW Ringwood. They're in control of the race lead right now. Neil Andrews will want to get through sooner rather than later. Gets in the mirrors of Adam Dodd, trying to unsettle him, and he's gone straight on, just like that. Rookie move. And Neil Andrews has made Adam Dodd fall for the oldest trick in the book. And in fact, I think Dodd said something more than that. That looks like it was completely technical as he pulled off and took a tow and is out of the race. I think he's had something absolutely massive, some form of failure.
Yeah, it looks like a wheel failure to me, or something like that. He just slammed on the brakes and then released them and stopped. So something bad has happened there. Also, while that was going on, Ethan Bass was able to pass Steve Hobbs, so that is a change. That's for 4th in the GTE field, and they're still fighting amongst themselves. As someone... Oh, sorry, that's still Dodd dropping down the order, my apologies. But yeah, slight change in the GTE order.
Absolutely, Ethan Bass getting through on the fiercely forward driver, that one being Steve Hobbs, so that is a change, and a good change as well. That puts Bass up into 4th in class. Next up to chase will be Ewan Marshall in the Meraki car. Got Billy Fletcher and then PJ Claeysens, who is in control of the race at this moment in time. For the time being, though, that does promote Neil Andrews after the incident earlier on up into that 5th place, and that's going to be key here in terms of this one, because you look at someone like Neil Andrews for the time being, he's got to get up next now to Tony Baird and to Simon Underhill, but both of them are teammates here, and actually Tony Baird has fallen behind Simon Underhill, so that is a change for position out on track, which happened down into turn number 1. Easy as you like for Simon Underhill, who's proving that he has pace here today. He's a massive fan of Lewis Hamilton and Bentley, and he is British through and through, and he is proving right now that he has got a great turn of pace to go alongside it. His teammate, of course, is half of the number 44, mind you.
So 3rd place for Simon Underhill now. Tony Baird coming under attack from Neil Andrews, the championship leader. And we tend to see this from Bird. He qualifies really, really well, but his race just tends to go from bad to worse. But anyway, here comes Andrews in the slipstream, and I think he might have a good chance here, actually, because as they pass the pit exit, Andrews is getting close. Does he go for a move? He does indeed. Goes to the inside line. He's a little way back, and he turns in. Tony Bird turns in, and he's going to be sideways across the road.
And again, Tony Baird finds himself in a place he's not happy with there with that turn. Neil Andrews looking for the inside. Baird was always going to be a little bit later on the brakes. They went on through. Always a nose, and he almost tried to cut the nose off of one Mr. Neil Andrews, who was still there, mind you. He was crucially still there, and that's the key. Tony Baird back up and going in 5th place, but now he's with Jelle Pieter Hoogland and Josh Johnson to go alongside that. So not ideal. The field spreads out. 4.5 seconds lead for JPW Ringwood.
In Baird's defence, though, it was a tiny, tiny overlap, and really I can understand why he turned in there, because it looked as if Andrews was backing out. And I think Andrews was trying to back out there, because he knew he wasn't far enough alongside to make the move, although he was entitled to be there, because he got there through the slipstream, and he got there before the braking zone as well. So I would call that a very 50-50 accident there. I wouldn't put it on either of them. But there was definitely things that both of them could have done to avoid it, and Tony Baird has come off worse.
Absolutely. The nearest or the closest battle right now out on track involves Tony Baird right now, Josh Johnson, and also Jelle Pieter Hoogland right now as they run 5th, 6th and 7th on the road right now in through the left and right chicanes and looking to try and really make some progress forward here the longer this race goes. But you can see how much time they have really lost already in this event through the mistakes that they've made in their own respective battles. They're now down a good 16, 17 seconds on your race leader at the moment in your LMP2 division. No real gains at the moment either for the likes of Ethan Bass. He took half a second out of Ewan Marshall that last time by, but Bass here has got to try and chase down about 3 seconds worth of gap, which is actually 3.5 seconds. So that's going to make life tough, and traffic is starting to become an issue here for JPW Ringwood. He's on the back of Jonas Gillis for the first time.
Yeah, luckily, just out of Gillis, there's about a 4 or 5 second gap to Damien Shave up ahead, and then ahead of him, about an 11-second gap. So, as I said, you know, it's better to pick the GTEs off one by one, and in this situation, that's going to be relatively easy. So, Ringwood clears Gillis. That's the first lappery of the race, and it's done nice and cleanly, just as to be expected.
Yep, a very comfortable, clean pass on the lap traffic here, and there's not much to argue with. But Steve Hobbs here in the fiercely forward car, he's trying to come back here at Ethan Bass. They are really close together as they come over the stripe and down the hill towards turn number 1, close into the mirrors and not quite close enough. A little bit of room given by Ethan Bass through turn 1. Not sure where Hobbs was in comparison, but just like that, it seems like Bass is not going to have everything his own way in the number 19 car, because Ewan Marshall is at the moment 42.8, just able to pull away. So Bass very much in a fight for 4th here today in his event.
Interesting that the top 3 in the GTE category are the top 3 in the championship in the correct order as well, with Claeysens leading, Fletcher second, and Marshall in 3rd place. Of course, all of those will be fairly happy with those positions, except maybe Ewan Marshall, who still has a good chance of getting 2nd in the championship if things go his way. And of course, Fletcher didn't have a great race last time out at Le Mans, so it looks as if it was swinging back towards Ewan Marshall a little bit. But anyway, it's now 1, 2, 3 for those drivers. Bass and Hobbs, of course, 4th and 5th in the race, still fighting over those positions. Though it's disputed territory out in that 4th place. And in terms of the championship, it's actually Morgan Thompson who's 4th in the GTE category, but he's not actually here today.
No, he certainly isn't, nor is Keanu Begognon in 5th place in the GTE Championship either. It has been a masterclass by PJ Claeysens so far, and he's proven time and time again just how amazing he's been as Bass and Hobbs once again close here as they cross the start-finish line and they look towards this battle. Hobbs has got a much better run than he did last time and now will be able to pull alongside as they go on forward towards this. The Ferrari against the BMW, and at the moment it is the Ferrari which is nimble, but look at the big chunky BMW M8 trying to fight around the outside, trying to get the move done. But once again, trying to put the power down. Bass has got to go the long way at turn number 4. There is no channel to switch to the inside, and almost contact there on the brakes. Bass going incredibly deep, but he's going to get the inside for turn 5, but he's got no power on the exit there in the BMW. Able to brake slightly later, though, down the inside, and that is well held.
Absolutely, that was great fighting between the two of them, and Ethan Bass somehow still holds the position. I noticed at turn 2, the Ferrari just wasn't able to find the traction on the outside, despite the fact it looked as if he'd got the move done and dusted. But anyway, Ethan Bass there did a great job to hold on to it, and he will hold P4 for the time being. But yeah, Steve Hobbs not going to take that lying down, and it's not over yet by any means.
Absolutely not, but they're now getting the traffic coming up. JPW Ringwood is going to try and go through on Mathieu van Delden right now. He's got a gap of 4.5 seconds out on track, and that is crucial. But Neil Andrews is the fastest of anyone, 35.4. He's clearly got the bit between his teeth as he goes on forward and tries to gain place upon place upon place. Tony Baird has lost a place, though, to Jelle Pieter Hoogland, and that was a spin by Tony Baird. They've gone through on Damien Shave, but he's ran wide through the next corner, did Tony Baird. Got understeer, got out on the gravel, and then trying to gather it back. He's out there on the grass, and all of a sudden, there goes the place. So Tony Baird down a place now into 6th in your LMP2 division right now, but all of a sudden, it is all about least mistakes. That pit stop window opens in about 3 minutes.
Indeed, the pit stop window, it's not an official thing. You don't, I don't think there's a time where you have to make your pit stop, but everyone pretty much makes their stop between 20 minutes and 40 minutes into the race, and 20 minutes and 40 minutes to go, of course, since it's a 1 hour race. And most people, I expect, will be pitting probably around the 30-minute mark, which is half the way through. That is, of course, because the fuel can't make it the full distance.
Exactly, and that's going to be crucial. Hobbs and Bass, though, they're going to have to try and coordinate this, because there's JPW Ringwood just behind. He's lost 4/10 on the last lap, the gap down to 4.1 seconds, and now has to negotiate these two. Hobbs taking his natural line as he goes on through. That's all nice and dandy, and now Ethan Bass has got to be really careful about where he places that BMW, and down on the inside, nicely worked there as JPW Ringwood finds a way through, trying to attack there was Hobbs. It didn't work. Now look to Neil Andrews, though. We're talking about fastest lap upon fastest lap here, Caitlin. Now on the back of Simon Underhill again, looking for 3rd place. He would like to make this move cleaner than he did on the former Nomad sim racing car.
Mathieu van Delden's just had a big off. He's, just kept starting to the wall. Oh, no, he didn't. He did hit the wall. So Mathieu van Delden may have some damage there. He went off down at turn 5, just understeered straight on. And he's now a lap down and quite a way back in the GTE category. But anyway, sorry, you were going to say something?
That is so unnatural from Mathieu van Delden, just looking at how he's gone off here. Because he's gone off, he's hit the brakes, and it's almost like the car has decided it did not want to turn in the gravel. He hits the wall, he loses it, almost hits the wall a second time, and gets going again. A really weird one for Mathieu van Delden in the Ferrari. Clearly not loving things at the moment as he makes progress through the field. There looks again, a little look to the inside for Steve Hobbs. He's not going to find it there on one Mr. Ethan Bass as they continue their scrap, but they've got this one, Underhill and Andrews behind, and this is two battles converging. This is the nightmare on Elm Street at the moment that I think everyone does not want to be seeing right now if you're an Andrews fan or an Underhill fan or even a Hobbs or Bass fan.
Well, I've been keeping an eye on the Underhill-Andrews gap because that's been coming down, and for the first time since Andrews spun, it's within a second, and they've got a lot of traffic coming up. 2 GTEs, that's the fighting pair of GTEs, and look, they're going to go either way, and it's 4 wide almost! 4 wide on the straight. Andrews is on the inside, and he's going to lock up, and they're going to come together, and the GTE gets involved as well, and Underhill is going to be spat off to the outside. Now, that was just the GTEs. They went to either side of the track, not exactly knowing what to do with themselves. And you had both of the LMP2s going down the middle, and well, it wasn't quite 4 wide, but it was effectively 4 wide, and they just all ended up in a big pile.
I just took a second look at it, and it was all 4 tyres locked. That brake pedal was jammed at 100%. Even the anthill mob couldn't slow that one down, and Simon Underhill was not well impressed with that. He'll come down in, he'll take the fast repair and get himself back out and going again. Andrews up into third position, but he has made no friends. There'll be no Christmas cards when it comes to Nomad Sim Racing for him, because that was brave, bold, and I think Neil Andrews is starting to drive with a bit of desperation.
Admittedly, though, Andrews and Underhill, they were clear of the GTEs by the time that Andrews locked up. So I think if Andrews went, or if Underhill feels aggrieved by that, he may be completely justified in feeling that way. But anyway, I'm sure I should leave it up to the stewards, and hopefully there's not too much damage to Andrews' car, because there was quite a bit on Underhill. So that's why he's in the pits. Anyway, leaving the pits now, I presume he took his fast repair and also some fuel. But yeah, Andrews there locked up all four tyres very, very heavily. It reminded me of Senna and Prost at Suzuka, just the way they came together. But anyway, Andrews has got away better. He's still in third place.
He still is, and Simon Underhill's still clearly angry about everything that's happened, but we'll continue on with the racing that's going on. PJ Claeysens in control of this one at the front of the field. Andrews, I think, is trying to apologise to him, but his microphone clearly not working at the moment, so he's not going to be able to get the message across what he's trying to say, and I'm pretty sure that he would not want to have made that pass in an unfair manner. That's not the character that we've come to know of Neil Andrews and the style that he has been able to drive. But at the moment here, JPW Ringwood with control over this race. Danny Henney currently in second position, and it's a long gap now for Neil Andrews. He's 13 seconds off of the race lead, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to find much of that time back longer that things are going to go on. So the question becomes right now, who can consolidate what at this stage? PJ Claeysens is walking away from Billy Fletcher and Ewan Marshall. There's not much you can do about that, but it seems for the time being that it's going to come to strategy, and that comes in the second half of the race. And as we all know, it's a very tight pit lane to get onto here at this fantastic Barcelona circuit, because of the fact it's on the inside. You never really have that much room to work with, Caitlin.
Yeah, indeed. Sorry, I was distracted by having a look back at the incident and seeing, well, it allowed Hobbs to get back past Bass in all of that as well. And I watched it from on board his car, and it was like the parting of the Red Sea as he went diving down at the down the inside. But anyway, Bass, I'm glad to say, has got away with it with minimal damage, slight front aero damage, but I don't think that'll be affecting him much. And he's actually already catching Steve Hobbs again. Apologies if I just completely ignored what you asked me.
It's absolutely fine. We were talking about pit lane and how narrow it is, and that's going to be something that drivers will be keeping in mind here the longer that the race goes on. One of the worst things you could be doing, Caitlin, is following someone into pits around this place, because of the fact that where the brake lines are, it's single track onto the lane. So you get it wrong, you run into the car in front, you could end up like Austin Powers. Yeah,
it's a narrow pit lane, definitely. I've seen drivers go into the wall on the exit here, just trying to go too fast on the way in. Pit exit, luckily slightly better, although you need to be careful of cars coming through as you rejoin just before turn 1. Don't come across too quickly. But anyway, that tends to be okay, because the track, there's quite a lot of merge time before they actually do merge. But anyway, yeah, pit entry, it's a difficult one, and you don't want to be coming in behind another car, especially if you're in a P2 and they're in a GTE.
Exactly, and that's going to be crucial here today. Only a couple of retirements from this race as I watch Yellow Peter Hoogland take the worst turn 5 I've seen in my life. Outside line all the way as he went on through. If he knew what an apex was, he'd be able to find that straight away, but ultimately struggles for Yellow Peter Hoogland, and that's going to bring Tony Baird back closer here in terms of that little scrap. But off goes Phil McDougall down at turn 5 with contact with the lap traffic. No, in fact, it was a case of down the inside. He'd already made the move, spins it on the mid part of the corner, and Steve Hobbs ends up chasing a pavement, and Ethan Bass gets the place back.
And that's allowed Bass past Hobbs. So those two, they just can't get clear of these LMP2s spinning in front of them, and they've both swapped Well, it's very much decided their order these last couple of laps, and they'll be getting pretty fed up with that. But anyway, McDougall finally got going after running through the gravel, and you were just saying that you saw Hoogland having the worst turn 5 you've ever seen. I'm sorry, but Phil McDougall has just gone, well, I can do better than that.
Absolutely. So some drivers not having good luck at turn number 5. And of course, so we're talking about the in-sim time here today. It is now currently 20 to 9 in the evening in sim time. So what that means is that sun setting and that grip level is going to be getting less and less because there's going to be less sun around here hitting onto the circuit. We're about halfway through this race in the next few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So this has been some brilliant work so far for the likes of your race leaders, JPW Ringwood and PJ Claeysens at the moment, but it's been a case of everyone else behind, especially in that LMP2 category, just running into troubles as I catch Danny Henney just taking a double take into turn 10 because he can't get the car down in on the inside.
Now this can actually be a pretty tough time for visibility as well. I often say it's better for it to be completely dark than it is to be driving at sunset or sunrise, because you end up getting the sun in your eyes at some point on the circuit. And I remember a race I did at Dubai a while ago where the sun was setting on the horizon, and it was just, I couldn't see a thing. It was ridiculous. And then as soon as the sun went down, it was almost like it was day again, because just the visibility was so much better. So they need to be careful of that as well. And I hope a lot of them have done practice in these conditions. But anyway, it doesn't look too bad when I ride on board with any of these cars. And as it starts to get darker as well, it should be getting better.
Damien Shave is the first GTE category vehicle to come in and make a scheduled stop, is back out and away again, 1 lap down on his nearest rival. Josh Johnson is in the pit to make his stop, was running in 6th place, which was actually net 7th, so expect a couple of drivers to find a way through. Simon Underhill coming through the final corner right now and should be going past Josh Johnson, but here's the big news flash. That's not going to be the case. Josh Johnson is ahead of Simon Underhill, who will now have a lot of work to do to gain back those places.
So that's a jump place there for Josh Johnson. He's got ahead of Simon Underhill, and I presume that Underhill may have struggled slightly on his colder tyres. Of course, we often talk about the undercut, which works as a driver comes in sooner and gets on the fresher tyres sooner. But when those fresher tyres are stone cold and it takes you a while to get some grip in them, sometimes the overcut can be more effective, and that's what you've just seen there from Josh Johnson.
I've just taken a look at Danny Henney's time, and he just took 0.6 of a second out of your race leader, JPW Ringwood. Gap down to 5 seconds, and I think Danny Henney here, in the second half of this opening stint, is looking absolutely racy at this moment. In comes Neil Andrews from 3rd, though. Now, this is a crucial stop because he'll be looking to try and get everything working. Yellow Peter Hoogland is going to follow down into the lane, but what's key in terms of this is that Neil Andrews now needs a very, very good run, or needs to hope that Henney and Ringwood come together at some point.
So there you go, Andrews stopping in his box and gets going. Hoogland is going to be a little way behind because he was a little way behind before he came in. Now, does Andrews get clean air? He's coming out just behind Ewan Marshall, so he's going to have to lap him in a little while, but he does stay ahead of his teammate Phil McDougall, so that's I think more important, and he's just got to clear that solitary Porsche before he gets a little bit of clean air. So not bad for Andrews there, and we'll have to see how that relates to Henney and Baird.
Yellow Peter Hoogland's come out on track and is ahead of Josh Johnson and Simon Underhill, so a nice little stop from Yellow Peter Hoogland there as he gets through Hobbs and Bass, who have closed back up together, and they cannot leave each other alone at this stage. So Yellow's going to try and go to the inside to make sure he finds a way through on the brakes at turn number 5. Yep, nicely done there with the lap traffic. No worries at all through that section of road. But now comes the next questions that come along. When will the leaders decide to come down onto the lane? Because there was a great response from JPW Ringwood right there out on track. And in fact, it was the fastest lap of the race. by far 1:34.6. That was even quicker than his qualifying lap time and his practice lap time.
That's really impressive though. That's the fastest lap we've seen all weekend. And sometimes you do see that as the sun starts to go down and the track starts to cool off, the tyres actually start to get better because they don't overheat so much. But anyway, of course, often that's not the case as the track is theoretically less grippy when it's colder. But anyway, still the GTE leaders staying out along with the HPD leaders. Of course, the highest placed driver that we've seen pitting so far was Neil Andrews, who came in from third. I'm expecting soon Ringwood and Henny to come in. We're past the halfway point in this race now, so this is when you'd expect it all to start happening.
Exactly, and that's key. So these drivers will try and go as long as they can on the tanks, make sure they get tyres, get fuel, get themselves back out and going again with minimal risk in terms of this one. That's going to be key. Drivers that have yet to come in include Tony Baird, Connor Robb, yet to come in, Phil McDougall, yet to come in and make a stop either. Most of your GTE field have yet to come in. They are naturally attuned to going as far as they can on a stint because that's how they traditionally go and run when it comes to this. A lot less flexible, I think, the GTE vehicles. Oh, sorry, they're a lot more flexible, but they know what the best strategy is as they go on through. And what's key here is that Simon Underhill finds himself away through the traffic, and he's nearly on the back now of Josh Johnson. But there's the issue. Turn 7, Ethan Bass takes the middle of the road, and that gives no way through for Simon Underhill, who has to wait an extra corner and lose himself almost a second being stuck behind.
Now Ringwood stayed out again, as has Henny, and I expect the GTE leaders will do the same. But yeah, still, I think still the only drivers still like absolutely together on the lap are Ethan Bass and Steve Hobbs, and I'm going to be really interested to see where they come out in relation to each other in these pit stages, and if they react to each other as well as you often see happening in the pit stages. Indeed, Claeysens and Fletcher have stayed out for another lap, and Ringwood's just past Mathieu van Delden, and he's coming towards the end of the next lap of the race, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him duck into the pits this time maybe.
Well, he knows he's got time on his side. He can choose to pit as long as he's got fuel in the tank, and that would be a very embarrassing thing to run out of fuel because you'll have no drive coming out of this final chicane to get yourself down on the lane. So Ringwood stays out for another revolution of the circuit. Danny Henny is a full rack chicane behind, which will be a little bit concerning in terms of not being able to see your rival in front of you. So Danny Henny's going to have to keep that in mind the longer that this racing does continue here around this place. But there has been a change. Steve Hobbs is through again on Ethan Bass, gets it done at turn 1, down the inside, easy as you like. The Ferrari is going fiercely forward.
And Ethan Bass just behind him in the BritTech Sim Sports car, and I see what you did with the fiercely forward pun there. But anyway, up through, touched the grass slightly, kept it in a straight line. Sometimes that can just jink the car around, but he was okay this time around. And I don't think he would have picked up an incident point for that either.
Hang on, I just want to keep an eye on Danny Henny here. He's had a mistake of some variety over the course of the lap because he has dropped 4 seconds. In fact, he had a half spin last lap at turn number 1. So Danny Henny, all of a sudden, does not get what he wants. He's pushing very hard to stay with JPW Ringwood. Down into turn 1, loses the rear on entry and goes into a half spin. So that will not do the tyres any good. And Danny Henny's got to find the confidence again because that will bring Neil Andrews back into play, who's been setting some very nice laps.
Now that's what I was saying at the start of the broadcast when I said that these cars can sometimes just twitch around and you have all the grip in the world until you have none. You saw the rear end just lightly break away from him, and there was no catching it after that. And that's why I really don't like driving prototypes a lot of the time, because you just never know when it's going to kick out on you. It's like driving an Indy car at Indy. But anyway, he's well, I'm interested to see how that relates to his battle with Neil Andrews, because I can't quite remember how far behind Andrews was before the pit stages. But he's going to be approximately 4 seconds closer now. So
well, it was 9 seconds as Steve Hobbs exits pit lane after making his stop. It was 9 seconds when Andrews came in through everything, and that gap should be around 4 seconds depending on how quickly Neil Andrews has been going on his lap. So we'll keep that in mind. the longer that things go on here in terms of this race. But we are heading towards that stage where everything sort of gets glued together in this sort of battle. Simon Underhill, stuck with traffic. Wide on the curb goes Josh Johnson. They're struggling to get around Billy Fletcher, who's just holding his line there. Takes it to the outside, gets out of the way. But now, Simon Underhill desperately wants to gain a place. Wide goes Johnson. Underhill with a little nose to the inside. Can't quite get there just yet to make the position up. So, again, the waiting game, it continues as I believe Connor Robb has also come down in and made a stop and is out behind of everybody.
Yeah, Connor Robb, who was at the back of the LMP2 field before the pit stop stages, will be at the back of the LMP2 field again. But props to him for continuing to run in this race. He's just going to lap Damien Shave there, does it nicely and cleanly. But yeah, I'm surprised the leads have stayed out quite this long. I would have expected at least one of the top two in LMP2 or GTE to come in by this point, which they have not done. But anyway, they continue to run, and I'm keeping half an eye on Neil Andrews at all times because he is looking relatively quick at this point in the race, and he's been cleaner than Henny the last few laps as well. So I think he's going to be pretty close to him when Henny comes out of the pits.
Well, it all depends on his laps, because a 35.8 last time by compared with a 36.3 and a 36 flat. He's trying to get the tyres up to temperature. Henny's last 3 laps, 40.5, that was with a spin, but then 35.6, 35.1, which was
True.
On his last lap, the quickest lap of his race so far. So that's the big caution point right now, is that Andrews is struggling to get the tyres up to temperature, will do around about this point, but needs a little bit of help to get back to Danny Henny, and that's going to be the only concern in his race at this point in time, as Phil McDougall and Tony Baird both on the lane.
Indeed, so McDougall comes in. Tony Baird was running third, although effectively fourth, of course, because of Neil Andrews stopping earlier. McDougall was already behind Andrews there, and as he stops in his box, Andrews starts to accelerate away, and Andrews now back ahead of Tony Baird as well. So Andrews will be up into fourth position. No, wait. Oh yeah, sorry, he is. So Andrews back up into fourth position. Third position, sorry.
Yeah.
And Bird back down to fourth.
There's been a number of changes. Josh Johnson's lost the place to Simon Underhill, ran wide through turn number 5, and that allowed Underhill the chance to go down the inside through 6 and into 7 and take the place away, which was absolutely fine. And through the pit stop, Tony Baird is ahead of Jelle Pieter Hoogland through all of the pitting. So that's going to be useful. That puts him net 4th place on the road. In comes your race 2 lead, or your leaders in this race. First 2, JPW Ringwood and Danny Henny on the lane together. So now this becomes a case of take your fuel, take your tyres, get going. There goes JPW Ringwood immediately away and back into the race lead without any hassle at all here in this one, going almost 40 minutes on the stint. There goes Danny Henny. Where's Neil Andrews? Only just now heading through the final corner. A massive gap for Danny Henny in second.
Indeed, Danny Henny has a much, much bigger gap than I expected him to. Oh, and Tony Baird's had an accident. Look, he's lost his front.
Oh, not again. Tony! It's every
Not
race,
again.
it seems, at this point. Tony Baird, who was in 4th position, back down in the lane and out of the race again, all on his own through turn 11 into 12. Goes through 12, starting to struggle a little bit with power on the exit. Catches the gravel and effectively goes, I want to go rallycross. Well, you can't go rallycross. You're out of the race.
Now, I don't want to sound disrespectful here, but has he done that at every race so far?
Well, he's had an incident at most races this season. He's not had a result that he's wanted. He's finished maybe 2 races overall, and without that fast repair that would have been there, that was not ideal at all. So out of the race goes Tony Baird, and once again, and this is at least the second time in a row that he's found an accident. So Tony Baird needs some luck. Someone has given him a hex or a curse or something or other, and he needs to go and find a specialist to get it removed.
True, but it does appear that he's doing it to himself. Again, I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but he's lost it on his own at most of the races so far this season, and that is a big shame for Tony Bird there. So I hope he can, keep his head up, come back stronger in a month's time. But yeah, that's gutting for Tony Bird. He was doing a good job as he always tends to do, and it just started to go from bad to worse, resulting in that accident there.
Well, into the pits then comes Mathieu van Delden in the Nomad Sim Racing Ferrari. Slightly overshot the box, but that's okay. He was running on his own in the 488 Ferrari, which is kind of cool, actually, to have the 488 and be in a Ferrari. Out and away Van Delden goes, and will be behind everyone that he was fighting with. He'll be in 5th place behind Steve Hobbs, effectively, when everyone cycles on through. Still, it's the GT cars, the GTEs that have yet to come in and make a battle stop, but battle on that we can see right now. Jonas Gillis right now in a scrap with Damien Shea for the final places in the field.
Yeah, Jonas Gillis there has just passed Damien Shea. That's a 16th overall, and in class, I think 7th. So Jonas Gillis gets that done and dusted. And into the pits behind them come another one and that's Ethan Bass. So Bass pitting, and as I said earlier, it'll be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Steve Hobbs, who pitted earlier on. So I'll keep an eye on that as well.
Exactly, Bass looking to try and come in and get his stop, formerly of Brit Tech, and he slightly missed the box, I believe. He went on in, so we'll keep an eye on this stop then. He doesn't want to be losing anything at all as he tries to get himself down in on the lane. There was a little bit of scrape marks on the front as he went on going through, and yes, he did slightly miss the box. That was the only issue that he's had going on through. He's out and away. Now the question is, where was the car he was fighting? The answer is Steve Hobbs is a little bit too far back. Bass coming up to speed right now. Andrews is going to try and find a way down the inside into turn 1, but that's crucially about a 3-second margin.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest margin they've had between the whole race, to be honest. It's been so close between the pair of them. And I think that shows that Ethan Bass was able to get his tyres up to speed quick enough to keep a gap between them. So there you go. Ethan Bass will be 4th in the GTE class with 18 minutes remaining in the race.
It's all about consolidation now for the final 18 minutes. Almost every driver right now is in their own little world, not having any battles with anybody else. And it's all about now just making sure that you bring the car home in a number of respects. JPW Ringwood right now knows that that's going to be great here for his race. He got pole position, he's got fastest lap at the moment, and he's looking like he's going to be about to win this race. That'll be 27 points, and if things add up with my mathematics here, Caitlin, that brings the gap down to an even 25 points heading to Spa-Francorchamps in a month's time even.
I'll trust you on that because I can't be bothered to do the maths for myself, so thank you for doing it so I don't have to. But anyway, we're actually getting some Lapri in the GTE class now. PJ Claeysens has already got past Gillis and Shea. Of course, Claeysens, I think, is still yet to stop, right? Yeah. But anyway, he's just about to catch and pass Mathieu van Delden, so hopefully that goes cleanly. And again, I'm really surprised he's left like this late, but anyway, there he goes. Passing Mathieu van Delden. And Van Delden getting his line slightly wrong through the corner, but that's okay. It keeps it under control and it continues on his way. But anyway, still we're waiting for the leaders to pit, not just in GTE, but in LMP2 HPD as well.
I believe everyone in LMP2 has come in and made a stop. So just the GTEs now we're waiting on as PJ Claeysens does take the decision to dive down into the lane in the Porsche right now and having a very, very nice run of things at the moment. Absolutely love the paintwork on the car. It looks like it's got a splash of everything everywhere at the moment in the Alpine car right now. You've got Billy Fletcher in second, gets a whole boatload of curb. Now this is interesting. He's going to stay out then and go another lap, but Ewan Marshall's going to go in. So the Ford, crucially, can go longer on the fuel tank.
Indeed, it certainly looks that way. So PJ Claeysens pitting, and Billy Fletcher will get a brief moment in the sun as he takes the lead and becomes the only other GTE driver to lead a lap than PJ Claeysens of this race so far, and well, pretty much the entire series. But anyway, Claeysens will come out roughly, yeah, I think he's in clean air. Does run slightly wide at turn 1, but it keeps it under control, and he has enough of a gap that won't really matter that much. He's actually come out in 2nd position still, so when Billy Fletcher pits again, it'll be easily peasily PJ Claeysens back at the top of the order.
Absolutely, and that's going to be crucial here for PJ Claeysens, who is now on course to pick 7 wins out of 7 in this series. We've talked about how do you stop PJ Claeysens, but nobody has seemingly had an answer, and it seems that the longer that these races continue to go on here, Caitlin, PJ Claeysens just continues to find gap upon gap upon gap.
I think that this has possibly been his most dominant race yet, to be honest, and I don't want to curse him, but yeah, I think this has been his most dominant race yet. He's just been absolutely untouchable. Haven't seen a single mistake from him, apart from when he ran slightly wide at turn 1 this lap, but that really wasn't bad at all. And yeah, there's actually only been one race so far this series where he hasn't taken the point for fastest lap as well. So that shows you just how... Sorry?
I've just seen McDougall go for a 360 down at the chicane,
Oh,
trying
not
to get
again.
some style points. So goes through the left-hand bend and just loses the rear tyres and goes around, takes a Cone's innocent life as well as he goes on through. Hashtag Cone Lives Matter as well. But you got Phil McDougall right now, gets himself going again, and just like that, able to get on going forward. But what's crucial for McDougall is he'll be looking at incident points. 20 incidents, of course, means that you get yourself a drive-through penalty. That would be the last thing wanted.
Yeah, and I apologise for that exasperation I expressed when he had his spin there, but I think that's like his 3rd spin of the race so far. Although, in his defence, I would probably have spun about 5 times by now because I really do not like LMP2s. But anyway, Phil McDougall still running in this race in 8th position, and yeah, again, you know, props to him for continuing, even though it appears that he's not going to be able to make up any more positions. But I suppose if any more cars ahead of him retire, he can pick up a few more important points.
Neil Andrews had to go 3 wide through Ewan Marshall and a slow Damien Shaver had a half moment at turn number 1. Billy Fletcher's had his stop and is back out and away in 2nd position behind PJ Claeysens. So the field pretty much through everything at this moment in time as everybody going through. Simon Underhill, though, and Josh Johnson back together once again because Underhill has made a mistake over the last lap, and I'm just curious to see where that all went wrong. And it was down at turn 10. Claeysens loses the rear under entry there. It's almost like the rear axle completely locked for Simon Underhill.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but that does sound like a weird one for Underhill. He's now behind Josh Johnson, and I saw the positions change as they went through the gantry. Yeah, it does appear that the rear's just locked as he was turning into Claeysens there.
And just like that, he'll try and get this position back. This is the fight for the top 5 in your LMP2 category. Runs slightly into the back of Josh Johnson, gets it slowed down. No pace on the exit. Johnson has to check up. Did not want to risk one down the inside of that left-hand off camber corner at turn 11. And just like that, it's going to be a case of Josh Johnson having to sit back and watch as Underhill is now in 5th again.
Indeed. So the end of another lap, and we're about to see the order update itself. They've actually got oh goodness, Steve Hobbs there on the exit, and he's going to get a run there. It's Josh Johnson, so Johnson might get it back again. He's back up to the inside line. This is over 5th overall and in the LMP2 class, and there he goes back through again. Look at that, Underhill not giving him room, but he's gone off the road in that, and actually might get passed again by Hobbs. But anyway, yeah, so that is Johnson back up into 5th position, and I must say, Steve Hobbs did nothing wrong there because he was holding his line, and yeah, he got a bit in the way on the exit of the final corner, but it's the responsibility of the faster car to find a clean way through. And Hobbs wasn't exactly moving over off his line or whatever, so fair and square there.
Absolutely, and with that move, 2 tyres on the grass there for Josh Johnson. He may as well have been the Clark Kent to Ryan Hunter-Reay as they pushed on forward. But look at this, still trying to come back right now is Simon Underhill. He wants that place, he wants position number 5 as he goes on through, and now towards turn 10 again. He might think about it, closing under the brakes, has to take a wide evasive action there because Johnson is just so much earlier through that section.
Reminded me more of Lewis Hamilton's pass on Sebastian Vettel at this circuit in 2017 when they were fighting over the lead of the race. That was quite a probably one of the best Spanish Grand Prix that I've seen. But anyway, indeed, that was a brave move from Johnson to get Underhill again. And as we're now in the final 10 minutes of the race, he might just hold that, to be honest.
He very well might just hold it, and that could be crucial here today for this race. Can he hold on to position and get exactly what is needed? That's the next thing that's needed in this battle right now. Josh Johnson, of course, is picking up points through consistency over the course of this season. Will be very, very happy with what has been going on over the course of this one. So we'll be seeing how this all plays out in the long and short of things for his championship aspirations. But Josh Johnson, ever the consistent, but Simon Underhill right now will be desperate to get through, knows that he can get through at turn 10. He's just got to set himself up properly, almost fetter his run ever so slightly coming up turn number 9 to make sure he gives himself enough room to hit the brakes and have a lunge at 10.
Indeed. So Johnson just a couple of seconds ahead of Underhill now. Over a second in it though. Meanwhile, I was going to say the gap for the lead overall has extended to 10 seconds for the first time in this race. Although it's gone back down to 9.9 now. Well, if you round it up, it's 10 seconds, but still. JPW Ringwood delivering a great performance ahead of Danny Henney, and in the GTE class as well, it's much over 10 seconds as Fletcher actually kicks up gravel there on the exit of the final turn. So the lead is starting to get away a bit in this race, and the main battle still Johnson versus Underhill for 5th place.
Second stop for Phil McDougall. I expect this one to be for incident points, and it looks like a 30-second stop and hold for.
Well, I don't see his helmet, so I wonder if he's retired because look, his helmet's not in the car, unless that's just on my screen.
No, you're absolutely right there, Caitlin. This looks like a form of retirement from this race. Nothing to lose being in 8th position, not going to chase down Connor Robb anymore after all the incidents that have happened, so nothing to lose as Damien Shave has gone for a spin down.
And here comes Underhill. Sorry, Underhill is up the inside of Johnson again. And
hello.
Still side by side, they've got a GTE coming up as well. So that's Underhill in the green car on the outside, and Gillis runs off the road and into the gravel to avoid them. And Johnson keeps the place for the time being.
Don't blame Gillis for going off there. I'd be scared witless with everything that would have been going on there with that battle. But Underhill, good run here coming up through. I was going to talk about Damien Shave having a spin. That was the battle that went by Damien Shave. Cone gets taken off by Simon Underhill. Wants to try and make a move, but again, just not there. It seems now that Josh Johnson's found some confidence, puts power on the exit, gets up on the curves, a little bit like Tony Hawk there, but you can see how Underhill is just trying to wait, trying to find that way through. We're inside the final 7 minutes of this race, and now towards the final 6 minutes right now. Simon Underhill wants the top 5, but he knows he's going to have to be patient right now. There's more traffic, but that's a good run through the corner, up on the curves, down the inside of New Holland, and they're going to stay side by side all the way down to turn number 1. Johnson's got himself a great run coming off of the curves, and now he's going to have that overlap heading towards turn 1. So down on the brakes, he's got to go the long way to get this one sorted, but Underhill on the inside. Thank you very muchly.
Wheel-to-wheel action, shades of Mansell and Senna, and slightly slidey goes Underhill through the corner, and Johnson taking a look around the outside, but that's not an ideal part of the track, and look at that, Underhill has another big twitch on the exit. That car a little bit moving around a little bit at this stage in the race, but anyway, he is now up into that 5th position. Johnson not going to let him go that easily. We're approaching the final few minutes of this race now. We're definitely in the final stage. They're just about to pass Ewan Marshall, who is 3rd in the GTE class, and they've caught him in a bit of a bad place actually. The uphill chicane, no way through there except on the exit. Do they both get through before? No, they don't. So he splits the two of them, and that's going to give Underhill the breathing room that he so desperately wanted.
Exactly, and that's the key here for one Mr. Simon Underhill. Get the gap up, but again, Josh Johnson does not want to let go of a 1 second window where that hole in the air will be punching through at this stage, and that's going to be something just worth keeping in mind. The longer that this one goes on, we're into the final 5 minutes now of this race, and every single lap now counts even more. With 1 minute 37 laps, it's going to be about 3 to 4 laps that they have left to push around this circuit, and you feel that Simon Underhill now just needs to stretch his legs a little bit and almost flex, some would say, on Josh Johnson.
Indeed, he needs to really intimidate him, but I think it may be over and done with for Underhill and Johnson. But they do have, look at that, that's Billy Fletcher coming up now. He's second in the GTE class, and they're going around the outside of him. And to be honest, this will feel like a win for Billy Fletcher because PJ Claeysens is just that dominant. They both get past him okay, and yeah, I do think this may be done and dusted for Simon Underhill. He's appeared slightly fractionally faster than Johnson all race long, even though Johnson did outqualify Simon Underhill. Because Johnson has the advantage of the slipstream, but through the corners, that's not going to be helping him at all.
3 laps to go then in this one. JPW Ringwood then here having a good run of things. 10.6 seconds. He has himself the advantage over Danny Henney, and this is crucial as once again it's been a case of tracks that have maybe suited the rivals going the opposite way of what we have thought in LMP2. And now the next question becomes here, Caitlin, a track which has any number of setup options at it, Francorchamps, I don't think I can call a favourite when you go into that race, because the form guide keeps changing between these two of Ringwood and Andrews.
Well, PJ Claeysens has got to be the favourite. Oh, sorry, I just interrupted you there because it'll color. But anyway, I think PJ Claeysens definitely has to be the favourite for GTE because that's been the case for pretty much every race so far. But yeah, it's definitely going to be closer in HBD as it has been all season long. Ringwood has a good shot, as does Andrews, and possibly even Henney too. Looking at his performance today, he might well go well at Spa, but I really don't know. Of course, it's only one way to find out.
Absolutely, and that is tuning in about 4 weeks' time here at Forever Sim Racing, because this place has some brilliant stuff, and as well, we've got a lovely little announcement coming up over the next coming week, so you'll want to tune in and look at us on Facebook. And if you haven't already, on Facebook, on YouTube, you can like, share, subscribe, make sure that everybody knows about how wonderful Forever Sim Racing is. You can do that around this place. Just 2 laps to go here in this event. We'll be down to 1.5 when JPW Ringwood now is at this point in time. So in terms of the battles that we were looking at out on circuit, well, it seemingly looks like it is plain and sailing at this point in time for someone known as Simon Underhill. He's got the gap that he wants now over Josh Johnson, Caitlin, and this now becomes a case of not can you walk away from things, it's now can you just consolidate one more lap of the track.
Of course, well, that battle was only over 5th place in HPD out of the 7 that appear to be about to finish the race, but still they were fighting hammer and tongs, and it was great to see. And it does appear that it's going to be Simon Underhill who comes out on top out of that. PJ Claeysens about to get lapped by Jelle Pieter Hoogland. He's of course Hoogland is running 4th in the HBD class, and that was done very, very nicely. Of course, there's only going to be one more lap after this one, judging by the times. JPW Ringwood, I wonder if he maybe thought that that this was going to be the last lap, because the time was very close, and that means it's going to be a relatively long race in terms of it being maybe 61 minutes or 62 minutes as opposed to 60.
Well, here we go. Last lap starts then for JPW Ringwood. 17 seconds short of taking another lap. Had to go slowly with the 2 bits of lap traffic. No need to risk it at this stage. Had an 11-second gap. It's down to 8 seconds now, but he will not be worried at this stage. He's got to go around this track just one more time through turn number 3, and now up the hill towards turn 4, going up at 230 k's to 40 almost as he hits the braking marker into the long right. The lights have descended. We are out of sunlight. You can see the headlights are on. And is he out of fuel potentially here going on through? Is he out of fuel going through the left? Through goes the one driver there. That is going to be Steve Hobbs. And here's the question. Is there anything left for JPW Ringwood? He gets himself back up and going again. He lets the traffic have their lap, but this is going to bring Danny Henney back in. I wonder if they've coordinated a form finish here, because they are both Venomworks cars here in these places. So here comes Danny Henney. Is he going to get by JPW Ringwood, or has Ringwood got pace? It seems he's back going again. There's the brakes, and he gives the notice here to Danny Henney. Okay, we're going to have a form finish here because we're P1, we're P2. I've clearly won this one outright. So it looks like it's going to be a form finish. Heart in mouth stuff as they now go through the right of turn number 12. But sometimes it's not about the margin that you've got, it's about the margin you're going to get. Side by side as they go through the penultimate few corners and give a nice little bit of a battle towards the end. Sometimes it's all about what you can do out on track. And now let's get the form finish all sorted up, because all he can do, instead of JPW Ringwood, it's JPW Winwood as he gets himself over the line and wins this one outright with a comfortable margin when it was all around the racing. But it will be in the record books as 1.5 tenths of a second when they came over the line. Henney in second, Neil Andrews crosses the line in third place. Crucially, the margin at the front is down to a very slim and bare one. 25 points only now for Neil Andrews, heading to Spa-Francorchamps with 5 rounds to go. There has been a spin late for Jelle Pieter Hoogland down there at the penultimate corner, so he's able to still get forward regardless of that. And here is PJ Claeysens over the line to make it the sensational 7 here, Caitlin.
Absolutely fantastic for PJ Claeysens. Also, thank goodness that was only a formation finish for Ringwood and Henney, because I really thought that Ringwood was slowing, and I didn't realise that they were, or I've forgotten that they were teammates until you said that it may be a formation finish. But anyway, PJ Claeysens won the GTE class in terrific fashion, but it's going to feel like a win for Billy Fletcher, who becomes P2, best of the rest, and as a result keeps his second place in the championship. Ewan Marshall will be third, so it's 1, 2, 3 in the championship, 1, 2, 3 in the order. And yeah, that was a little bit of drama to spice up the final lap there. Apologies to anyone who I startled with that, but yeah, you don't normally expect to see the race leader being passed by several GTEs on the last lap.
Absolutely, some brilliant racing though up and down the field. JPW Ringwood though in control, and we'll get results for you right now. JPW Ringwood wins by 1/10.5 overall, with Danny Henney in second and Neil Andrews in third position overall. Jelle Pieter Hoogland gets 4th place come the end, with Josh Johnson 5th, Connor Robb in 6th, and Simon Underhill a lap down in 7th. We didn't catch this, and it's completely escaped our attention as we were looking at what was happening on the final laps. And just looking at things then for Simon Underhill, was it a case of running out of fuel late? It looks like that as a reality. So Simon Underhill runs out of fuel and is out in 7th place. PJ Claeysens, though, your winner in your GTE category, with Billy Fletcher second, Ewan Marshall third, and Ethan Bass in 4th. Hobbs on the lap as well in 5th place. And you got Van Delden, Gillis and Shave. And all retirements today were in LMP2, with McDougall, Baird, Dodd and Merchant all failing to find the finish here in this one. But very, very crucially, there's been some brilliant racing action that has been going on. And here with Forever Sim Racing, there's some drivers waiting for interview. First and foremost, we will bring in JPW Ringwood into the conversation. We've caught him mid-chat with his teammate Danny Henney. And well, Jake, firstly, form finish. You slowed down 11 seconds in the final 2 laps, but from moment number 1, you had complete control of this race.
Yeah, what a difference a month makes. Yeah, that was awesome. I struggled a little bit getting temperature into the tyres on lap 1, but other than that, really good. And I don't know what happened to Neil, but I hope he had a good race. But it's nice to finally get someone in between us so I can get a points advantage on him for once.
You bring the points margin down within one race, albeit down to 25 points overall if our maths is correct. So you've got a lot of work to do still. Spa-Francorchamps coming up, of course, in the next round in about what will be 4 weeks' time. So a lot of work to do from here to there. How do you feel things are going to go in terms of strategy? Because it seems every track that Neil thinks he's good at, you seem to beat him at, and every track that you're good at, he seems to beat you at.
I'm rubbish at Spa. No, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, just actually keep practicing a little bit, and yeah, it seems to be the trick. Ash done some practice for this round, and it went well. So hopefully, I can keep that up.
Well, of course, keeping that up as well. There's a lot of things going on in terms of the Venomworks pipeline, and I suppose we'll give you shout-outs to sponsors before we let you go, but we'll also give you an opportunity to talk about what will hopefully be coming up very soon here with Forever Sim Race.
Yeah, so myself and the other guys at Venomworks, we've decided to throw up a championship using the Indy Pro 2000. I think we've decided it's going to be a two race format, so you'll have one feature race, 40 minutes, and then one sprint race afterwards. Hopefully that'll be quite exciting to watch, and sign-ups are open. I'll post something in the comments section, but yeah, hopefully that'll be good fun.
Absolutely. So before we let you go, JP, any shout-outs, sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank?
Just thanks to the boys in Venomworks helping with the setup today. Thanks to everyone who showed up. And just a little shout out, we are going to reduce the price for entry into the last 5 rounds to try and bolster the grid a little bit for brands, for Spa and Brands Hatch. Try and put on a better show for the last 5 rounds.
Well, no worries at all. JPW Ringwood picks up the win. Second place would go to Danny Henney, who stood by with Caitlin.
So, Danny, P2, that's a great result, especially considering the pace of JPW Ringwood today. Are you happy with it? And do you think you could have done anything more?
Yeah, no, it was a solid race. Really happy with the result. Obviously, I've been touch and go on a second before. I think Canada was the best chance I had until I had a bit of contact with Tony. But yeah, no, it was really good. Jake, unfortunately, he's had 4 attempts on me in every practice session we've been in. So really chuffed he won the race. And I think, to be fair, from early on, we were just cruising to a 1-2. So just managing it from about lap 4, I think.
Well, it was a great result. You were a long way ahead of third place as well. Were you expecting to be this fast today? Is it a track that suits you?
Yeah, I usually run well at the track. It's high-speed corners, which suit my style. I had solid pace in practice. Obviously, I had an eye on Neil and Tony. It was a bit touch and go at the start. I must admit, Neil nailed me with a good move off the line, off the first lap. But yeah, it was a good bit of battle. But yeah, the pace was there, so I was quite confident I could run at the front. Very chuffed with second. I didn't know if I'd get second or not, but third definitely. So yeah, really chuffed. Really good race.
I noticed you were pushing quite hard after the pit stops as well, and had a brief little excursion at turn 1 as well. Did that shake your confidence at all, or was it easy to just get your head down and go, right, that's a one-off, let's get back into it?
Yeah, no, it was just a silly mistake, to be fair. It's the usual case. When you're pushing, you're quite in control, and as soon as I just backed off a little bit, it just come round on me. But no, I was straight back in the zone. I set my fastest lap of the race the lap afterwards, and it was just managing that gap to Neil. Really, I could see him getting a bit closer, dropping off a bit. I had really bad luck with the traffic, but I must admit, at the end of the race, my tyres were dead. I think I burnt out the rears, so I was struggling a little bit. But yeah, no, I was enjoying it. It was good fun. Bit of a wobble with the spin, but yeah, overall very confident and well in control.
Well, congrats, and yeah, good luck in the future races.
Thank you very much.
So there you go. That was Danny Henney. Jake, do you have anyone to follow up with?
Yes, I do. I will have Billy Fletcher in just a couple of moments, but I've been told that you want another shout-out, Mr. Ringwood, so I'll be very, very nice and courteous and give you one extra shout-out because I'm very, very nice.
Sorry, mate. I just want to give a shout-out to the homeboys. They're my World of Warcraft guild. and they always watch the races, and we're recruiting Fury Warriors. So that's it.
Unbelievable.
Are those the people who took up like 90% of the YouTube chat with
Yes.
JPW Winwood?
They're heroes. They're absolute heroes.
That's fantastic. It's great to see them in the chat every single race.
Absolute legends.
It's brilliant.
Thank you.
Well, there we go. That's JPW Ringwood, happy with his World of Warcraft guild. But let's bring Billy Fletcher in. And Billy, second position today. It was a nice drive in the Ford. You were able to outlast everybody on fuel. But in terms of pace, PJ Claeysens, again, a cut above. You know, we keep coming back here. We keep seeing you in second. We keep asking, you know, if you've got anything for a recovery. But he seems to just keep getting quicker.
I've got no answer for him. It's a simple answer to that one. He's you know, I respect PJ massively in regards to his ability. I you know, it's no excuse, but I did 5 laps before the race started tonight, practice-wise. So I knew I wasn't going to get anywhere near him tonight, and it was just going to be a case of trying to secure second place. That's my goal now for the championship, because, as you said, every time you seem to step it up a gear, he steps it up a gear as well and disappears off up the road.
Well, in terms of your battle with second, you were kept honest throughout the entirety of the race by Ewan Marshall, your nearest rival in terms of the battling that's been going on. So in terms of getting second, holding that place, getting what's needed for the Luxims team, you're now starting to build those blocks towards the end of the season. 5 races to go. So looking now at the final 5 races in the calendar, you got Spa-Francorchamps up next. Surely you feel that's a place where the Ford can excel?
Yeah, one place, obviously, the Ford's very good is through the fast corners. A very, very well balanced car, so fingers crossed we can. We'll be putting in the practice this time. This kind of snuck up on me a bit quick. Just lack of time around life, and I'm hoping to be able to put a bit more practice in for Spa. And fingers crossed we can give PJ a bit of a run for his money.
Well, hopefully we will see that. But before we let you go here, Billy, any shout-out sponsors or anyone you'd like to thank?
Big shout out obviously to Rob Pearson, Luxim, Sim Stickers, Paul Garden, Draper Tools, all them guys, you guys as well for commentating on this and running this series for us, and obviously Jake, etc. All the guys for Venomworks. Yeah.
No worries at all. Billy Fletcher then coming home with second place in the GT category overall as we bring proceedings to a close here with Forever Sim Racing. If you haven't already, like, share and subscribe here to the Forever Sim Racing YouTube channel, and as well go over to Facebook and look up Forever Sim Racing and make sure you give that a like as well for more information. We got some stuff coming up about what is happening and what was just announced here on stream, so you want to make sure that you are going to be a part of that. The music that you've heard today is from Violet. You can catch her Super Pony World and Queen of Misfits albums on Bandcamp and on Spotify with her full discographies that have been going on, and make sure that you help a creator, especially in these troubling times. From Marco Barbanera on the cameras, provided by Dougie Beard. From Caitlin Penny, who's been alongside me, I've been Jake Sperry. And JPW Ringwood back to the top of the stands. He got exactly what he wanted. He got himself on the top step and really smiling. But more importantly than that, Claeysens now can effectively touch that trophy, knowing that another set of points has gone his way. 7 straight victories, and we are looking at something truly magnificent at this stage as we head towards Spa-Francorchamps. We'll see you in about a month's time for that one. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, we all are forever.